Hello, Natalie. Huge congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be talking to you.
Oh, I absolutely loved the movie and I needed it right now. I wanted to go back to getting the green light for this one because I know that the blacklist wound up being a big deal for you as a writer, but I don't know, was there any particular person or thing that happened that made going into production with this idea a reality for you?
Such a good question. You know, as you said, this script was on the blacklist nearly 10 years ago. I wrote it when I was like in my mid-20s, a struggling writer, like trying to make it in LA. And it opened a lot of doors for me and it came really close a few times, but it never quite like came over that hump. And I think sometimes for, you know, your readers who are and viewers who are, you know, screenwriters, you know that like sometimes a script is like an ex-boyfriend or an ex. You just have to like put it away and move on. And I had done that. And then about 5 years ago when I was pregnant with my first child, No Trace Camping, who's the producer financier of this film, approached me and they were like, you know, we really want to make this movie. We love this script. We need you to rewrite it. Quick rewrite, which any writer can tell you is an oxymoron. And, you know, just do the work and like, let's go ahead. And it was like an ex begging me to get back together. I was like, okay, it's not going to be different this time, but I'll humor you. And I did it and I dove in and we had a lot of conversations about what I thought the movie looked like and felt like. And, you know, when I was done, they kind of said, why don't you direct it? And I was like, what do I have to do? Do I have to like make a reel or act it out for you? What do you need me to do? And they said, no, you know exactly what it is. Just say yes, like you can do it. And that's so rare for a female director in Hollywood. I said, okay, well, thank you for letting me know what it feels like to be a straight white guy. I accept and I will do it. Maybe my next movie is like Jurassic Park, TBD. And I just dove in and it's been honestly the greatest experience of my life. It's been so much fun doing.
As a Jurassic Park obsessed individual, I am fully behind the idea of you doing another Jurassic World movie.
Okay, let's put that into the world. Let's put that into the universe.
That's what these interviews are for, aren't they? Get it out there.
Yeah.
So this was something that you wrote a long time ago between, I don't know, just your growth as a person, between making the idea more modern, incorporating technology we're doing now. What would you say is the biggest difference between that original version and what we see on screen now?
Some of the things that stayed the same was really like Lucy's essence. She kind of was an extension of me in her own way, you know, in my 20s. And so I think she's a character who asks the world to love her, not despite the fact that she is weird, but because she is weird, which I think is like the most important thing for young women to know, that like that's how hopefully love works. And then of course, you know, I've kind of said this before, anytime someone asks a writer to read something that they wrote like 10, 5, 6 years ago, like I'd rather be buried alive than have to go back and look at that. But writing is a muscle and, you know, you kind of learn a ton about story and pacing and plot. So some of the kind of mechanics of the story really changed, as you mentioned, technology and, you know, kind of the pacing and things like that. But the soul of the story always stayed the same, if that makes sense.
I also really wanted to ask you about working with your casting directors here, because it's not even just your leads that are good. You have smaller characters that get their time in the spotlight and really make the most of it. So what is the key for you to having a good collaboration with your casting team?
We had such a great casting team, and we really had a casting team that embraced kind of like thinking outside of the usual box and the usual, like, you know, this is, you know, this person should be this way or this person should be that way. We really kind of tried to kind of find these little gems to sort of put in our film. And I think that one of the great things with casting directors, not just them alerting you to a read for a particular part, but also being able to, my casting directors were really showing me a lot of like, you know, where my actors had appeared in other roles. And I think that's so informative for a director. I think most of my choices weren't necessarily based on a read and were much more based on like where I had seen these actors before and where I had seen them shine. And they all, you know, without exception, gave me the performance of a lifetime in this film. So I'm very, very grateful to all of them.
I cheated, and I read that you mentioned Brittany Runs a Marathon in another interview, and that was my favorite movie of last year. So if that paved the way to this for Utkarsh, I'm really rooting for him.
Yes, it definitely did. That paved the way for Utkarsh. Blockers paved the way for Geraldine. Booksmart for Molly. SNL for Ego. Broad City for Arturo. Like, I could go on.
You named a lot of very good ones there. Speaking of Molly, I'm a big horror genre fan. I have to ask, what inspired the choice to make her character obsessed with death?
I think that actually comes from my own girlfriends. I have to be honest. Like, My Favorite Murder is one of, I think, like the best podcasts around. It's just something that, like, I have a friend that this character is sort of loosely based on, and her way of we joke that her way of showing affection is through violence. So when Molly kind of says, "I love you so much, I'm going to push you down the stairs," that is something that has been said to me, and I take it with all the love that it's intended.
It's a real art to be able to express that and have it come across that way, but she pulls it off.
She manages it.
Another one of my absolute favorite parts of the movie is just the group of friends, Lucy, Amanda, and Nadine. I really could watch an entire series of just them living their life in the city. So is all of that, I guess, the banter and comedic timing going back and forth between them, is all of that scripted and planned, or is some of that naturally coming up on set?
As a director, one of the best things you can do is, I say this all the time, a movie is directed in prep. And by that, I mean that, like, we really worked those scenes, and we really made sure that they worked and they were funny, and like they went back and forth, and that dynamic was rich and natural. But because I had such strong comedians, once you kind of nail the way that it is on the page, you really have an opportunity, even in a small budget movie like this, to play a little bit. And because we prepared so well, I was able to kind of like let them run wild. And so the answer to your question is, it's kind of a hybrid. It's partially what was on the page, and then partially just like these incredible actresses improvising and adding their own zingers to this, which kind of took it to, I think, the next level.
The three of them are great. I know the movie is kind of about letting things go, but did you keep any memorabilia from the production?
Oh my God. Well, I kept, I have a ton of photos from that time. And Geraldine actually made me this really beautiful scrapbook, which I have kept. So like, I have some confetti that we, threw in the last scene, and a lot of Polaroids. And then one of the things that I really am going to make, hopefully someone lets me do this again, a tradition on my sets, is that my first couple days on directing this movie, I took photos of a Polaroid of every single person on the crew and had their name and their role. And that was a way for me to learn everyone's name, but it's also kind of like a yearbook from the movie. And so I think that's kind of going to be my ongoing sentimentalist tradition moving forward.
I can't even tell you how much I love that idea. I want to see everyone do it. Oh, I hate to let you go, but I got to leave.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
You too. Thanks so much. Congratulations again.
Thanks.